Hi there, welcome back Greeks and welcome to CPU.
Kalimera Greeks. Good afternoon and welcome again to our class Greek 101. Today we will discuss our lesson and it's about the Greek sentence. So are you ready to learn about the Greek sentence? So let's begin. So here are the objectives and knowledge that we will learn today. Firstly, we will be oriented with some Greek words or vocabulary. Second, explain the accidents and syntax of the Greek sentence. Thirdly, to be able to understand the basic of the Greek sentence. Next, identify the types of Greek sentences. And finally, we will utilize the basic ideas in the art of translating a Greek sentence. All right, so let's begin with our vocabulary. So here are the words that we will learn today. And the first word is, it starts with a rough breathing. It's read as hamartolos. Let's read all together. Hamartolos. It means sinner. The adjective form is sinful. Next word is apostello. Let's read all together. Apostello. It means I send out with a message. Next word, baptizo or baptizo. Let's read all together. Baptizo. It means I baptize. That's why the Greek word for baptize is baptizo, which means to immerse in water. Next word is, here we have the diphthong U with a rough breathing, heurisco. Let's read all together. Heurisco. It means I find. Next word, zoe. So it's a feminine noun. Let's read all together. Zoe. It means life. Next word is theos. Of course, we are familiar with it. Let's read all together. Theos. It means God. Small or the capital letter, use the article to. Next word, it begins with a smooth breathing. Eudaios. All together, eudaios. Very good. So the feminine form is eudaia, and the neuter is eudaion. It means Jewish or a Jew. We have also the word kephale. Kephale. Let's read all together. Kephale. It means head. We also have the word cosmos. Cosmos. So cosmos means world. For God so loved the cosmos that he gave his only son, Huios. Right. Next word is krino. Say it with me. Krino. It means I judge. Next word is laos. Laos. It's a masculine form. It means people. Next word is mellow. Mellow. It means I am about to or intend. Next, we have the word menu. Let's say it all together. Menu. It means I remain or dwell. We also have the word hodos. Hodos. It's in a feminine form, and it means road or way. Next is the word palen. Palen. Say it all together. Palen. Again, it's an adverb. Next, presbyteros. Presbyteros. It means older or elder. Next word is sunago. All together? Sunago. It means I gather together. Next word is we have kairo. Let's say it all together. Kairo. It means I rejoice. And the last word is Christos. Christos. The meaning is Christ. Jesu Christo. Christos. Jesus Christos. So Christ, somehow in Christmas, sometimes they use the word X. That means chi, no? Or chi in Christus. Okay, very good. So let's proceed to the accidents rather, and syntax. Thus, for our study, has mainly emphasized word formation, which is called the accidents. So it focuses mainly on the formation of the words. You must learn the prefixes and suffixes of verbs, nouns, and other words in order to translate Greek. Accidents is a major focus of this grammar, but equally important is the matter of syntax. What is a syntax? It is the orderly arrangement of words and their relation to one another to convey meaning in a sentence. So remember that the syntax or the order of words in Greek is different in that of English as well as in our own language. So therefore, you need to study the Greek syntax to be able to translate it in correct English, right? In English, for example, one must know the use that useful, that is the full is the use is rather the root word, and full is the suffix. Useful means full of use. And of course, the word useless, the last suffix means it is without use. In Greek, hey agate also means the good woman. So you can see there the the woman or gune, but it is accepted already that it refers to a woman. And the ho agathos, there's no anthropos there, but it still means a good man. This observation of suffixes emphasizes accidents. Likewise, the use of the word in context is a better indicator of its meaning than a definition in a vocabulary list. By the way, here in hey agape, because of the eta ending, that means that is feminine form. And for the agathos with the omicron sigma ending, it is in the masculine form. Also in English, how do you know the meaning of the word uh, bow unless you know the context? Because bow could also mean an instrument you use to play violin. Huh? So you have the bow, and it could be a decoration on a package. So it's like a decoration that you place in a gift. And finally, it could also mean a device used to shoot arrows. So you have the bow and the arrow. Or how do you know the word or translate the word graphe in Greek? It could either mean writing or scripture. So the answer is found in the way in which the writer uses the word in a sentence. The same manner, each Greek sentence must be translated taking consideration the form, that is the accidents, and usage, that is the syntax. So that's why you need to be careful with the words because they have different meaning based on its context. For us, of course, in English, the word love is one, but it could mean a lot of things. It could be love for a friend, for a family, for the opposite sex, or for God. But in Greek, of course, they have different forms on the word love, depending upon its use and purpose. So let's proceed to the understanding of the Greek sentence. Basic to both Greek and English is a sentence. What is a sentence? It is an independent clause and it may contain other clauses, phrases, and various kinds of structures. So a sentence is more than a group of words. The arrangement of these words along with the relationship to each other convey the intended meaning. So the same is true in English. Sentence could have one word. It could be phrases or clauses, depending upon the structure. Greek and English sentences are similar in that they both have a subject and a predicate. So often you will see a direct object, an indirect object, a prepositional phrase, and many other constructions parallel to English. In order to have a functional sentence, you must have a subject, which is the doer of the action, or the one we are giving emphasis to, and the predicate, that is the action. It could be a verb or an addition to qualify what the object or the subject is doing. If in English you say the sun, you use a noun to communicate a certain concept to another person. But when a verb added, the sun teaches, you form a sentence. A pronoun may stand on behalf of a noun, and you can have it as he teaches. So here, the word he or the son is the subject, and the word teaches is the predicate. In Greek, since the pronoun is in the verb form, one word may express a sentence. Like in Mark 14:41, the word apeke. It's just one word, but it means it is enough. So it is in the third person, singular, and that is, it is enough. Therefore, if a noun appears not to be the subject, look at the personal ending of the verb form. So you look at the ending of the verb and you will know that which of this is the subject. So in English, these are two parts of speech: the noun or its substitute, which is a pronoun, and a verb, which are used as the subject and predicate, and most important elements in a Greek sentence. So the noun or its substitute and the verb are very important in a Greek sentence. Let's take a look at the types of the Greek sentences. There are four types, and number three here is the third part of our lesson. So we have simple statements also. We will learn one by one. We have sentences with predicative nominative, sentences with direct or indirect object, and we have compound and complex sentences. So let's start with the first kind, which is the simple sentence. Greek sentences are simple statements with a subject and a verb. For example, we have the sentence here. Let's read all together. Idakrusen ho Jesus. So you have here idakrusen. It is the past tense of the word dakru, which means so weep. So it is in the past tense. And of course, we have the nominative article ho, the, and Jesus means Jesus. So when you transliterate it, or probably word by word, it could be wept the Jesus. But in Greek, the one with the definite article ho, in the case of the masculine, is the nominative, or rather, it is the subject. That's why in the sentence, Jesus or Jesus is the complete subject. And edakrusen, wept, is the predicate. So we have here an example of a simple sentence. One complete subject and a complete predicate. Is that clear? All right, let's proceed to the second example type. It is this predicative nominative. In this case, a linking verb connects the subject to a substantive in the predicate. So example, the sentence, let's read it all together. Ho theos agape estin. Ho is the definite article the. Theos, of course, means God. Agape is godly love. And estin is, it is the linking verb or the verb to be. So God, love is. But in Greek, of course, it is different in the syntax. It means that God is love. So in this statement, agape describes the whole theos is the God, and it is in a nominative case to agree with the order. No? And of course, we have also the is love. It is the predicative nominative. So agape here is nominative also, feminine. And of course, it is the predicate of the sentence. So that's it, an example of a predicate nominative. Another one, let's read the sentence. Theos, ein, ho logos. So we have God, theos, ein was, a verb to be, negative, past tense, and the word. So God was the word, but let's see that the definite article, the, if it is in the sentence, or in the word rather, it is the action, no? Or it is the doer of the action. So it is the subject. So that's why the aim theos is our predicative nominative. And the word logos, or logos, is the subject. So it is therefore translated as the word was God. All right, so that is the predicative nominative. Let's proceed to the third example, which is sentences which has a direct object or an indirect object. Most instances, the former will use the accusative case. In that case, that is the direct object. It's in the accusative case. And the latter is in dative, which is the indirect object. That's why you can see or notice the iot subscript in the singular form. The following sentence may has a direct object and indirect object. Let's take a look at this sentence. Let's read all together. Ho huios didaske ton agaton nomon tois oklois. So let's translate it one by one. Ho huios means the sun. Didaske, third person singular of didasko. Past present tense, teaches. Ton agaton. That is the accusative form of the good law. And no, tois oklois to the crowds. That is in dative, plural. So let's take a look at the sentence. It means the son teaches the good law to the crowds. So here we have the subject, we us, ho we us. That is the subject, the son. And we have also a direct object, the ton agaton nomon, the good law. And finally, we have the complete predicate, the indirect object, laske applies twice. So that's it. That is an example of sentences with a direct or indirect object. And finally, the last are sentences could be compound or complex. When we talk about compound sentence, it has two independent clauses joined by a coordinate conjunction. So there are two sentences or clauses. Example, God is love and God is good. So the conjunction is and. No? So if there are two clauses that are joined together by a conjunction like and, bath, uh, uh, therefore, among others, then it is called a compound sentence. The next one is a complex sentence. A complex sentence has a main independent clause and one or more dependent clauses. So the complex, there is one main or independent clause that it can stand on its own, and the other one is dependent upon the main clause. So that is another example of a complex sentence. So Greek also expresses commands by the use of imperative mood. So when you command, it asks questions with interrogative pronouns, makes use of participles, infinitives, and other constructions, which we will discuss as we go along in this Greek lesson. All right? So let's proceed to the basic ideas in translating. As you translate the exercises in each lesson, you begin to read the Greek New Testament. You will develop the ability to identify various words and constructions in a sentence. At first, the differences between English and Greek sentences may cause concern. So let's take a look at this checklist of what to do. So the first thing to consider is find a main verb of the sentence and parse it. No? So you look for the verb in the sentence and parse it. What do you mean by parsing? Parsing means you look for the person. It's either first, second, or third person. So based on the endings, you can identify the person. Next is it's either singular or plural. Also, it's based on the endings. Then the mood, is it in subjunctive, indicative, or imperative mood? Tense, it could be past, present, future, or aorist. And a voice, it could be in the active, middle, or passive case. So as you parse it, then you will know the meaning of that verb. All right, so that is parsing. The second one is find the subject of sentence. If there are two nouns that appear to be subject, choose one with an article. For the masculine, the ho, for the feminine, the he, and for the neuter, the to. It will be in a nominative case and will usually match the verb in person and number. The subject can be a noun or substantive used as a noun. It may be implied pronoun if the verb form if there is no subject name. So next is you look for a direct object, usually in an accusative case, or the indirect object that is in the dative case, and you can find the meaning of the sentence. Next is search for other phrases and clauses that could add meaning to the sentence. So sometimes if it is a complex or compound sentence, it has a lot of words there, and you need to just go over it one by one. Next one, be concerned first with the forms of verbs and nouns as you determine their function in the sentence. Because Greek has a more elaborate case system than the modern English, Greek writers had more freedom in word order. Thus, a direct object or a predicate nominative will appear first in the sentence. So here in the Greek of New Testament also, word order did have a purpose. In general, it appears first or in an unusual place indicates stress. So that's why you need to study the syntax of the Greek language. So if it comes first, it is given emphasis in a sentence. Right? Next one is you translate all verbs, substantives, phrases, and clauses within the context of the sentence, and if possible, in the larger context of the entire writing. So as we can see earlier, there are words that has different meaning. For example, in English, we have the idioms. And for example, idiom is, I have butterflies on my stomach. It doesn't mean that there are literal butterflies, but somehow you are feeling excited, no, about something. And probably you could say, I am hungry as a lion. Doesn't mean that you can eat like a lion whole, but it means that you are sore hungry and you want really badly needing to eat. Okay, next is be prepared to translate a word in more than one way. Because, for example, the word angelos here may mean messenger or angel, depending upon the context. But somehow it could be used interchangeably in the New Testament. So an angel is also considered a messenger. But sometimes you just need to look at the context or the whole sentence or even the whole chapter. Next, if you will find help you diagram the Greek sentence to determine the relationship between the elements. So let's take a look at this diagram in the art of translating. So we have four letters here. We have the G. It refers to the Greek document of the original writer. So it is in Greek. And the O here is the E is the English. No? So you have the E is in the English uh, translation you are producing. So from Greek, you translate it into English. Now also the O, which is the original reader. Okay, so the original reader. So what the original writer intends to share to the original reader. And the M stands for the modern readers as today. No? What does this Greek text mean to us today? So there are three stages in moving from this setup. First, G to M. We will analyze the message given in G by using the basic translating strategies, no? In 7.5 later. Okay, so that's G to M, and it is G. You analyze the Greek text to the modern readers today. No? You translate it to modern readers today. And the second step is from G to E. You will transfer in your mind the message from Greek to English. So this is the second line. Translate the Greek into English. And of course, the last one is you restructure the material so that the message can be understood by the modern readers or listeners. So we have the G and O, you analyze it, and you restructure it in English to the modern readers. So that is the third step. But of course, there are extreme tendencies in the first one, becoming overly literal, resulting in an artificial word translation. So the problem is in the literal sense is that um, you might use the word or use it in a wrong context. No? And of course, in Greek, the order of the words are different. No? So when you uh, interpret it word by word, you might misinterpret the teaching of the Bible. So sometimes too much literalism is also dangerous. So that is why you need to look at the context of the words. And second one is uh, taking such liberty with the translation in order to make it understandable that it loses its original meaning. For example, we have the translation, the paraphrase translation, wherein there is too much liberty in the interpretation. And that's why sometimes the original meaning or the intention of the word is lost. So that is dangerous. So too much literal can kill also, and too much liberty is also dangerous. So it's both extremes, no? So you should know the context, and you should also be able to retain the original meaning of the text. What does it has to say to the readers before and to us today? So the problem is what makes sense in Greek may not make sense in English, of course, because the word order is different. Like the example earlier, that Jesus wept, so it doesn't make sense. So it is interpreted as Jesus wept. The problem in the second tendency is that even though the translation may be proper English, it becomes the translator's interpretation rather than conveying the message of the original writer. So somehow you need to really dig deeper because it could be your own translation. That's why the longer the text, according to scholars, that it is not reliable because others might have added their own interpretation to the original text. The beginning student should attempt to translate the Greek words accurately while also maintaining a smooth and readable English. So word by word, but of course you need to restructure it. No? The goal is to reconstruct as closely as possible and the message which the ancient Greek writer intended to the original readers. So that's the art of translating. So are you excited to translate the Greek text to English? All right. So again, so what makes sense in Greek may not make sense in English. And the other one is the translation may be proper in English, but it can become a translator's interpretation rather than conveying the message of the original writer. Okay, let's recap. What are the difference or what is the difference between the syntax and accidents? Accidents is the form or the word formation, whereas the syntax is the usage or orderly arrangement of words. Okay, what are the four types of sentences? We have the simple sentences or sentences with predicate nominative, sentences with direct or indirect object, and either compound or complex sentences. All right, next. What are the forms of translations? It could be from G to M, the Greek document, to the modern readers, or G to E, the Greek document, to the English language, or the Go M, so the original Greek writer to its original reader. You analyze it and reconstruct it from English to the modern readers. So that's it, our lesson about the Greek sentence. So I hope that you have learned a lot today and be able to apply it as you go along in translating the text. And of course, let me show you also we have here an assignment that I would like to share, and that you can download it in our application, the Canvas application. And there are some sentences that you need to identify the type of sentence. It's either simple, predicate nominative, indirect or direct object, and either compound or complex sentence. You write it right after the sentence and translate them into English. I think there are 5 items for you to answer, and I think it's just easy as you go along. So answer it and pass it later down tomorrow morning at I think 8 in the morning. So that's all for today. Thank you and God bless. Kalimera. See you in the next lesson.